Anyway. Alright, welcome to episode 92 of the 2-Minute Warning. Today we're taking a look at the Seattle Seahawks and Russell Wilson. Sorry, the Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks, who we've seen drop two divisional games recently. Jay, what's wrong with this team?
I'll just say nothing going wrong is a part of Russell Wilson, in my opinion. Yeah, he's had turnovers in games, but if we look at it, what other quarterback could really excel in this situation? I mean, you've lost two of your running backs, Chris Carson and Carlos Hyde. This has been a problem with Seattle this year and last year. That kind of cost them a loss in the playoffs when they had to re-sign old man Marshawn Lynch. That didn't even do anything for them. And they also have the worst defense in the league with yards allowed. Jamal Adams doesn't seem like it's paying off. I mean, we saw the Rams trade 2 first-round picks for Jalen Ramsey, and he's arguably the best corner in the league. We saw the Seahawks now do a similar move for the best safety in the league, and it's not paying off even close to how the Rams are paying off. So Russell Wilson is suffering. He has no run game, and his defense is giving up 30 points a game, so he's obviously forced to air out the ball pretty much every play, every drive, which leads to picks. And even with one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the league, you're just going to have mistakes, and he can only do so much. The fact that they're 6-3, Seahawks fans in the NFL should be praised pretty highly, because at this rate, the Seahawks had a tougher schedule. They wouldn't be a playoff team. But for now, just due to lack of easy schedule and having Russell Wilson, they will make it to playoffs. But to say in the future they'll make a huge run and go to the Super Bowl again, it's not looking good for Russell Wilson.
Yeah, this team is a team that Jay and I both had such high hopes for going into the season. I think we both think so highly of Russell Wilson, and I think that's for good reason. He's a very talented quarterback. I mean, looking at his season stats, he's 25 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. If you would just see those stats, that's pretty damn solid in my opinion. But in the last 4 games, including 2 divisional games, which they both lost to Arizona and to the Rams last night or Sunday, he's got 7 interceptions in the last 4 games. 2 of those being divisional, like I said, and only 9 touchdowns. So that ratio in the last 4 games is obviously.
Not to interrupt you, but of those 4 games, one of them he threw 0. So really, in 3 games, he threw 7 picks.
That is correct. Good point there. But that's over the last 4 games, and like you said, 3 of those is where those 7 interceptions have come from. We've really seen the Seattle Seahawks go downhill. Yeah. And like you said, I don't think a lot of this is to blame on Russell Wilson. His QBR has really suffered in those 4 games. But again, what we've seen is when he plays teams, especially the ones in the division that have a good corner that's able to shut down DK, then he really has no other option. His best other option is Tyler Lockett, which of course is a very talented receiver that we've seen take off earlier in the season, but at only 5'10", he's not a guy that you can throw the ball to and just say, man, he's going to catch it. They have real faith in him because he's just not physically big enough to do that like DK is. So against the Rams, we saw with a great corner like Jalen Ramsey, then DK's basically not shut down. It's just a great matchup, but he's not there all the time as a reliable option to throw the ball. Same thing can be said against Arizona, a very talented team with the defense led by Patrick Peterson, and Budda Baker really covers DK really well. So then Russell's got to force the ball other places. He's got to scramble, which leads to turnovers. And I think the same thing could be said for San Francisco if they had a healthy Richard Sherman and a healthy Nick Bosa. And of course, I didn't even mention Aaron Donald. The same thing happens there when they play the Rams. He's got no one to throw the ball to, and he's got a guy in his face within the first 2.5 seconds in the pocket. So what I really see is a team that will be lost without Russell. If you throw in their backup Geno Smith, I don't think they win any games really at all. So
even Mahomes or Rodgers, whoever you take, they're not going to be able to go undefeated or put up numbers like Russell. They're going to do just as good as Russell and struggle in the same exact ways.
And you mentioned already, last ranked defense in pass yards allowed at almost 360 a game. This is just a team that is so held together by Russell that when he struggles, which anybody does at some point, then they're just not going to win games.
Yeah, I think if it wasn't for the new playoff bracket this year, we might not see Russell Wilson and the Seahawks make it. Of course, now that it's 7th seed and there's 3 wild cards, they might. I mean, the Seahawks do have a chance of winning the division still. They're at the same exact record as the Cardinals and Rams. They just lost both head-to-heads. We'll get a great picture this Thursday when they play the Cardinals again. If they can split the series with the Cardinals, they'll be looking good for the division. But if they lose that, it's not going to be easy. Between the Cardinal, of their upcoming schedule, the Cardinals and Rams are their toughest games. Outside of that, they got Eagles, Giants, Jets, Washington, Niners. They'll go 5-0 in those games. They're 2 tough games. Our Cardinals, Rams. If they lose to the Cardinals, they're not going to win the division, in my opinion. And this season, the Seahawks are 1-3 against teams that are above 500. And that one team that they beat was the Dolphins, which didn't have 2 at the time, who's now 3-0. They had Ryan Fitzpatrick, who threw for 0 touchdowns and 2 picks. You're not going to get that lucky against a playoff team that has an above 500 record. If they could get the 5th seed and match up against the Eagles, yeah, they'll make it through the first round. But if Russell Wilson and the Seahawks fall to the 6th, 7th seed and they're playing Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees at home, I don't see Russell Wilson going toe-to-toe with them. Maybe stats-wise, but points-wise, defensively, the Seahawks cannot manage those offenses.
Yeah, you make a great point there. Personally, I can see Russell going toe-to-toe with any other quarterback, but the team, of course, the team surrounding him, like you said, struggles with the run game because of injuries, and then struggles with not necessarily a one-dimensional passing attack with DK, but a passing game that relies very heavily on a 6'3" DK Metcalf that can go up and catch the ball over anybody really. So if he gets covered really well, like I said, then they're out of luck almost all the time. And I think arguably this NFC West division is most competitive in football right now.
The Niners are healthy.
That's 4 teams. Because right now there are 3 teams that division between Seattle, LA, and Arizona that we may see in the playoffs. I think is high odds of seeing all 3 in the playoffs. So again, now we've said this before in the previous divisional matchups that we're going to take Seattle. I still think that in the remaining games against Arizona and LA, I think Seattle will still find a way to split with both of those teams. So again, right now they're 1-2 in the division. I think they can win the next 2 divisional games they have. Well, really the next 3 because I think they'll beat San Francisco again. So I still think Seattle can make a push to win this division. But right now, at this moment, if they don't figure it out on defense and figure out a way to get other guys the ball, other than DK when he gets covered, then maybe they won't.
Yeah, I mean, come playoff time, if Chris Carson's healthy, if Carlos Hyde's healthy, this could be completely different. And if they manage to win the division, the Russell Wilson and the Seahawks might be at home. We might have fans in the crowd. They might have the 12th man. They might have a healthy running back. This could be a Super Bowl team. But as of today, the way things are looking at this pace, they are nowhere near making a deep playoff run.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with that.
2-minute warning.
2 minutes.